Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hello and welcome to the MotUS Edge. We're so excited that you've decided to join us here today. I have with me Kevin Brubaker and Kevin Jones. Welcome, Kevins.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
Before.
I know. Two Kevins is going to get a little trippy. I don't know. Who do we need to? Kevin B and Kevin J, maybe?
I'm pretty sure we're not going to have the same question. So I'm assuming everything goes to Kevin Jones unless you point at me. So.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much. Kevin Jones, thank you so much for being here with us today. And tell us a little bit about your start in All-Star.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on. I have been in the industry, cheer and dance industry for about 45 years. So I tried out for cheerleading in the summer of 1980, or at the end of my junior year in high school. I made the high school team, went to an NCAA camp, was hired by Lance Wagers. I then worked NCAA summer camps starting that summer, 2 weeks after I graduated high school. And I worked for NCAA for 18 years.
And we just had Lance on a few months ago.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, you should check his podcast out. He did awesome.
He told us that you were his best hire. So that's funny that you're on a couple months later.
Oh, wow. That's great. If he said that, that's great. Lance has always been a role model, and he was a mentor for me, he and Carol both. And so I appreciate, all the opportunities that they gave me. But I was at NCAA for 18 years as an instructor, head instructor. And then I actually, in 1989, I moved to Dallas and started working in the corporate office and did a wide variety of things, one-day camps, youth camps, and then moved into being the vice president of event operations for, at that time, all of our special events, which included all of the bowl games, the parades, as well as all of our championships. And so I did that until 99. Left in 99 and then started America's Best Championships. A few years later, I then started Spirit Innovations. Fast forward, sold controlling interests of America's Best Championships and Spirit Innovations to Jam Brands at the time. Fast forward a few more years, Jam Brands kept America's Best Championships, and we sold Spirit Innovations to Varsity. Took a few years off, which was great. And then I was getting asked by a lot of people in the industry to, Kevin, can you help us out with some things? And so then was born Innovative Spiritwear, which really kind of started just as a hobby and something to keep me busy. But through my connections, both with coaches and gym owners, as well as all of my connections with factories and vendors and suppliers, it quickly blew up. And Innovative Spiritwear has been around since 2017. And then about 4 years ago, I created the All-Star Premiers, which is not a competition company, but it is an event company and an event brand that produces preseason, show-off, showcase, kickoff events for All-Star programs. Those have become very popular in our industry. And the All-Star Premiers allows those teams to do nothing but show up. We do all the work for them. We really personalize it, make it really special, make it a family feel for the gym. Whether you're bringing 3 teams or you're bringing 30 teams, we really make it feel special for that program that's in the facility at the time. And we have done, last year we did 5 of those. We're looking at doing about 8 of those this year in different regions of the country. Which is great. And then also I have another brand that's not necessarily associated with All-Star, but it's the Game Day Rally, which is the same concept as the All-Star Premiers, but for high schools. And we're primarily in Texas right now because game day competition is just huge in Texas. And so we've started doing that, and we do 4 to 5 of those every year in the different regions of Texas, which is great. And again, it's the same concept. It's not a competition, but teams get to go put their game day routine on the floor and get feedback from our industry professionals. It's really a preparation. I always say, look at the NFL. They have a preseason schedule, and then baseball has spring training I feel that cheer teams and coaches and athletes and spectators all need that experience. They got to put that routine on the floor for the first time, get out the kinks, work out the nerves so that they can move into their first competition, their real competition, feeling a little more prepared than they were just going cold into the first competition. So that's kind of my history, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm just very thankful just to still be involved in the sport of cheerleading and being able to provide and give back to the industry.
So tell us, in the beginning, you started, it was America's Best, right? Is what you said. So
Yes.
What was it like starting that competition company? I mean, All-Star at the time, if I recall. So for our listeners out there, Kevin is one of the pioneers in the book, The Pioneers of All-Star, which I have been working very diligently on, Kevin, and it will be out hopefully in a few months. Sometime in the fall is the plan we're shooting for. But anyway, so you started this event company kind of at a time where All-Star was really just sort of becoming a thing. Like, you didn't even know if it was going to work, and you just started this business. So what was that like?
Right. So the first America's Best Championship was in 2000. And at that time, there were a handful of people putting on competitions for all-star cheerleaders. NCA had one or two, American Cheer Power was around, and Cheer Sport was around. And then a couple more that I can't remember all those, but we started off doing one event, and quickly, again, that's 2000, 25 years ago, a little different landscape in All-Star than it is today. But then the next year we quickly did 8. And then
Wow.
I grew it to doing over 20 events, and I think when we wrapped up America's Best, in 2008, we were doing around 20 different events. So all over the country.
Wow.
And at that time, again, a lot of people weren't doing those events. And so, but also the All-Star community wasn't as large as it is today either.
Yeah. And how about that cheer sport that was already in existence at the time? I mean, I think
Yeah.
I think the knucklehead who started that is on this podcast with us right now.
Right. Yeah.
It was much smaller back then, and we had no idea what we were doing, but it was really fun. So
yeah, it was great. And I remember being at some trade show, and Kevin had this little piece of spring floor there, and he was really talking up, that Cheer Sport does the competition on a spring floor, which was great and which really catapulted the industry. And of course, that is now the standard for everyone.
Kevin, were you when you started America's Best? Were they all in Texas for those early years? Because I know it was. We always said it was. I felt like there was 50,000 events in Texas, and then the rest of the country had 12.
The first year was here. It was actually in Arlington, Texas. And then the next year, we quickly moved into the different hubs. We were in Atlanta. We were in New Jersey. We were in Indianapolis. So in those kind of hot spots where there were enough programs to support those competitions at the time.
Right. I'm curious because you went through your whole spiel. I was like, I have so many questions, but I want to interrupt you because you were on a roll. When you did, knowing your personality, fun, creative, entrepreneur, excitement, I would imagine doing the parades and the bowl games and doing that for NCA I don't know if there'd be a better job in the world for you. Was that just so awesome and so fun? I mean, I'm curious, tell me one of your best bowl game or parade experiences. And I'm assuming you're teaching all the choreo and doing all the things for that stuff as well.
I assisted with the choreography, and then we had, at that time we had NCA staff that would come in and be part of the choreography staff. So we did Aloha Bowl, Hula Bowl, Macy's in the early '90s, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We did the Brock's Holiday Parade in Chicago. We did a St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, which was always just a highlight to go there.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and take a couple hundred cheerleaders every year. Little side note, that's where I first met Angela Rogers on that trip. And that's where I hired Angela to be on staff at that event. And I think the highlight of all the special events that I did was in '96 when we had almost 500 college cheerleaders a part of the 1996 Summer Olympic opening ceremonies. And so that was, and I worked on that project for 2 years, with some big name producers and choreography. So that was just a whole new world for me. And so that really was a highlight because so many people that are still in the industry that are owning all-star gyms and coaching were a part of those 450. I mean, James Speed was there, Misty Hodges, Brad Habermill, Jody Melton, Angela Rogers, and many, many more were all a part of that. And so that was just a really cool experience and something that, all of us every 4 years, we always start the group text and everyone starts talking about it. And it was just a great experience.
That's pretty awesome. I know I had kids at Charlotte All-Stars do the Brock's Holiday Parade in Chicago. And so we used to go to that, and I had family in Chicago. So that was really fun to go there. Same thing with the Macy's Parade in New York. I just saw that with my own kids a few years ago as a spectator, just getting to watch it. Not on the streets, thank goodness, but up in an office building where the parade was in front of us was pretty amazing. And then I remember I went to the Olympics in '96. That was before I was married. I was actually dating a girl in Atlanta. And so we got to go watch basketball and gymnastics. But I remember, all the many people that were there. I was not cool enough and not a good enough cheerleader to be involved with that. But I remember thinking, there's so many cheerleaders in Atlanta. That was pretty, and they'll be doing it again. I guess the Olympics are coming to LA. So I'm curious what the cheerleading world.
I was much younger because I'm a little bit younger than you guys, just a
little bit.
And I was an athlete during those times. And I remember when I was younger, when I was really young, I couldn't tumble. And so I really wanted to make UCA or NCAA All-American so that I could go and travel and be a part of the parades. I thought that was the coolest thing ever as a kid. And I never made it. So when I got to high school, I got really mad, and I'm like, okay, I am determined. I'm going to do this. And so I started working really hard specifically so that I could be selected so I could go do one of those activities. And I eventually did get picked for both NCAA and UCA. And I went to London. I think that was with UCA. And I still remember that today. And then one of my favorite experiences was NCAA. We went to Hamburg, Germany, and cheered for a basketball game in Germany, and they were cheering USA, 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 and we would be out on the basketball court stunting and tumbling, and I mean the crowd was just going crazy. And Morton Berg was my chaperone, and some other girl, oh my god, I forget her name. But we were such a small group. It was just the two of them. I think there was 22 kids, and it was such a cool trip. And I actually took the T, I think it was in Germany, which was the train, and I got lost.
Oh no.
It was myself and one other girl on the trip, and I totally got lost and ended up somewhere I shouldn't have been. But I found my way back, and we went and visited Dachau, which was one of the concentration camps, and that was crazy. That was just such a unreal experience, and kind of changed my life. Actually, I have I became after that obsessed with the Holocaust and learning about what happened how all of that took place, and am still into history and even historical fiction books about that time and all the different stories and whatever because of those trips. I mean, that's how much I think they impacted people just in general, kids like myself,
Yeah. So many kids, that we took on those special events. It was their first time to get on the plane, first time to travel. And of course, not only was there the performance that we were doing, but there were always the excursions and the other activities to be able to go and see and do and learn about the culture wherever they may be. So it was always great. And I still talk to people today that went on those events and about their experiences that they had.
That is truly, those two trips are truly some of my greatest memories as a kid. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to do that. And it took me forever to get selected, but I finally did. I got to go, which was great.
I always say travel brings education. And so kids and people that travel, they know more than people that don't. And so I grew up in Wyoming, and some people never traveled and never left. And I always felt bad. My mom was from the Carolinas. My dad was from Wyoming. So I got to go to Myrtle Beach every year for vacation, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. But I could have never gone 2,000 miles away to go to college if I didn't grow up traveling. And that was just a normal thing for me. So
Yeah. So Kevin, I don't know how much you know about MotUS, but myself and Kevin and Casey and Cole are all co-founders of MotUS, which is a community of gym owners working together to help each other grow. As a member of MotUS, our gym owners get access to a specialized vault, which includes templates for every aspect of their business. We continue to add resources constantly. In addition, the gym owners are added to our private Facebook owners group, and they have the opportunity to join monthly webinars geared towards gym owners to help educate them and grow their business. You also receive amazing discounts from our affiliate members like the Cheer Expo, Choice Events, All Out Brands, All Day Cheerleading, Infinity, Vault Event Media, Cheer Sounds, Bookshop Fundraising, and more. If we have any listeners out there that are gym owners and want to join the movement, you can join the movement today at www.joinmotus.com. That's www.joinmotus.com. And I spelled it right. We always laugh about that.
Everyone spells it right except for Casey. He's from South Georgia and his education's not as good.
Now, come on, Kevin. You can't make fun of Casey while he's not on the podcast.
Yes, I can. I'm sure he makes fun of me when I'm not on. So I have no doubt that it goes both ways. So,
Oh, too funny. Well, Kevin, it is about that time.
Okay, I'm excited. So I get to do dad jokes because I got a couple kids. And so what did the 0 say to the 8?
I don't know.
Nice belt. Because, So I thought that was a good one.
Oh, my goodness. Too funny. Sometimes Kevin doesn't like the jokes that are selected for him.
This was a good one. I like it.
But he liked that one. That was a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I told him he can pick his own jokes if he wants, but he needs to actually send them to us in advance.
I don't have time for that. Goodness gracious. I don't know how you have time for it. Kevin, I mean, we say all the time that Stacy does a billion things, and then she tells Cole and Casey and I what to do, and like she told you what to do on this interview today. She is literally the original boss lady. So, thank goodness we would never get anything done. But she's the youngest and the smartest and the wisest and the most knowledgeable, and she's our tech person, which is a real struggle when you have old people like me and Casey and Cole. Literally, we're on this call today, and all of a sudden I disappeared. And so she's having to text me, go, hey, are you going to get back on? I was like, sure, if I can turn my computer back on. So, anyway, but yeah, so the challenges of Stacy Rowe starts with.
I told Cole that I expect a T-shirt that says "I am tech support." I still haven't gotten that. I still haven't gotten that T-shirt yet, though. Anyway, it's fine.
Well, Kevin can make you one with Spirit Innerwear. Probably have some bling on it too. So.
Yeah, Kevin, it's like herding cats. I feel like keeping everybody kind of organized a little bit. Sometimes I pull my hair out, but they're usually pretty patient with me when I lose my mind, which I appreciate because I don't mean to, but it happens occasionally.
She always apologizes. The jersey comes out in her.
Like the patience, it's like my patience meter, like it just goes up and 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 up until it explodes. No, it's great. We all love each other and we love what we do. So
it's pretty awesome.
So tell me a little bit more. Let's dive into a little bit more what you're doing now, and kind of how that got started and, why you're doing that. Why didn't you just retire?
Yeah. Well, I felt, once I, sold to Varsity, I did take a couple years off. And what I found was that there was something missing. And I realized that it was being involved in the industry that I grew up in. Again, 17 years old, try out for cheerleader. And then from there, I'm just, in the trenches with NCA and doing this. And so I really did miss it. So that's how I got back in it. But what I'm doing now, again, with the All-Star Premiers, we're putting on these preseason events for All-Star programs across the country to come and put their routines on the floor for the first time. Many All-Star programs, they will start by doing their own showcase, maybe in their gym. Then they kind of outgrow that. They move to a high school, and then they outgrow that, and maybe they find a facility, but then they find that there's a lot of work involved in doing it. And what we provide is the opportunity for them just to show up and still make it as customized and family friendly as they want to. And typically in a venue where there is elevated seating, plenty of room for warm-ups, they get their own block of time. The venue is turned into their program's venue during the time that they're in there. For instance, if someone brings 10 to 15 teams during that time frame, the backdrop, the video boards, the lights that are used during the dance section are all catered toward that program. We have our industry professionals who are very knowledgeable and well-known, either choreographers, judges, and sometimes other gym owners that provide audio feedback for every routine that's on the floor. The teams then can go and watch a playback of the routine, just like they would at a competition. The coaches get that audio feedback so they can share with the other coaches and the team so that they can improve before they go into the first competition. After all the teams have finished from our program, we do what we call a parade of athletes. We bring them all back out. We make them feel really special, announcing their team names again, having their logos up on the video boards. Then all the teams in that program are out on the floor. We generally hand over the microphone to the gym owner or coach, or whoever they designate, to be able to talk to their athletes, their coaches, and all their spectators. Rarely do they ever get, once the season starts, rarely do they ever get that opportunity again to talk to everyone at one time. Right. We have people that, they will pray over the season. They will acknowledge their seniors. They will give shout outs to particular coaches or teams, or sometimes award longevity awards for coaches, and really talk to their family members. And sometimes even, some programs have a chant or a cheer that they do, and they use that time to actually teach everybody. Because again, during the normal course of practices, you're not seeing everybody at the same time. Right. So it really is, it's an experience for each All-Star program to set their season off on the right foot. And it has been very well received and very successful. And we're just looking forward to growing that and giving more All-Star programs that opportunity. And again, whether you have 3 teams or you have 30, 40 teams, you can participate in an All-Star premiere.
Hey, Kevin, I know you did 5 cities last year and you're doing a few more this coming fall. Would you tell our listeners where you went last year? And I know some were bigger than others, but they were all great, and where you're going this fall as well, so people can tune in if they're interested.
Sure. Last year we were in Charlotte, Denver, Dallas, Columbus, Ohio, and Gulf Breeze, Florida. And we are looking at adding Hot Springs, Arkansas, Indianapolis, Indiana, something in the Northeast, and I have one other location, possibly Nashville. Okay. So we're working. We're really, trying to get a feel out there. One is, we all know, finding the right venue on the right day. And these are preseason. So these aren't really typically when everyone else is trying to secure venues and facilities. They are that 6 weeks that begin at the end of October that run through the first or second week in December. So we are still finalizing venues for those cities. And we will be announcing, we hope to have all the dates finalized by mid-April. Most of them are already finalized, but we will be rolling those out. Also, we're looking at Louisville, Kentucky as well. And again, the metropolitan areas where we know that there are, it's an hour, maybe 2 hours for All-Star programs to drive into that, because it is different for people. It's not a competition, so they have to really process, and we have to explain the benefits of going as well, so that they will go, we will drive that 2 hours, because we're not going to get a chance to see all 20 of our teams together ever once the season starts. And right. and what's really cool, I think, is that some people, a mom and a dad that may be brand new in the program, they have a kid on the mini, but they know about that elite team. They can be there that day. They can see that team. The little athlete can see that team and what she or he aspires to be later on in their All-Star cheer career. So I think it's a great setup so that they can see, because you guys know that when you go into a competition, your teams are scattered out all throughout the day, and you're running right. from possibly arena or to arena. You're not being able to see. And if you want to see that elite team, you got there at 8:00 in the morning, you'd have to stay till 8:00 at night. And sometimes that's just not feasible. So it's a great, again, experience for everyone that comes from each of the All-Star programs.
I can totally attest to all of this. So Premier Athletics, we've put on a showcase. Every gym has kind of done their own little showcase forever, of course, but for the last, I think, decade or so it's probably been about 10 years, we've done a showcase with all of our locations all together, which ends up being between any given year, it ends up being between 75 to 110 teams. Some years not every team comes, just various reasons, whatever. But for me, for whatever reason, it is the most stressful event that we put on every single year, like leading into the showcase. Every year I am like, I'm a bucket of nerves. Constantly stressed out. Kevin can attest to this. Like losing my mind 24/7. I mean, we put on events all year long, right? But the showcase, for whatever reason, I just want it to be so great and so special for our families and our athletes. And for us, as Premier, it's exactly what you're saying. Not only is it the opportunity to come together and see all the teams in your gym, but it's an opportunity to come together and see all of Premier and support all of Premier. And it's important to us that our coaches get together and our coaches are having a good time, and our families, and, that everybody just appreciates and celebrates all the locations and all of the kids. And so I think a showcase is amazing to have. We do a lot of the things that you're talking about. We recognize our seniors. We recognize the number of years that the athletes have been in the program. We recognize the number of years that the coaches have been in the program. We give away scholarships. We do all kinds of stuff at our showcase. And so I think it's a great opportunity and experience, and I can attest to the stress. And so to have somebody come in and we have a lot of help, like we do have a lot of help, but to have somebody come in and just like, boom, here you go, here's your event. Like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and we've done some great things too. Like we will go in and shoot video from the programs. We produce hype videos for the program, logos of the program and the teams flying in on the video board. So again, we make it just really special and really try to set the tone for what their season will be.
That's awesome. Really cool.
Love it.
Tell me, we're going to go back to the past again, because why not, right? So how did you guys, do you remember Kevin Jones? Do you remember how and when you met Kevin Brubaker for the first time? Or Kevin, do you remember?
I think for me,
is your memory fuzzy? I know you guys are older than me.
It is. I went to NCAA for the first time in Christmas of '94. And so Kevin was still on staff in those early days, going to Dallas. But I remember when America's
And that
Best,
was with Charlotte All-Stars, right? Kevin, like you took a team there as a coach.
So we competed there in the early 90s and all the way through the 90s.
And I think you won, didn't you?
We did, yes. So in the arena that doesn't exist anymore. So it's kind of crazy. I have the blue jean jacket to attest it. So
wow.
That was 94. That was 94 because in 95 we turned to the Letterman jacket.
Oh wow!
Because that's in 95 is when I took over and we created a separate standalone All-Star event. Because in 94 it was still All-Stars were still there with high schools too.
Right.
So we broke it apart. We saw a need that it was going to be different, so we created that in 95 and also started with the varsity jackets the Letterman jackets.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. So
I'm impressed that you remember that.
Yeah, so that's cool. So the year I won the jean jacket was the last year of the jean jacket. So that's crazy. So It doesn't fit me anymore, by the way. I'm a shocker.
And also in 95 was when I remember this vividly, flying to on Midwest Trophy on their private jet. They came and picked us up, and we flew to Oklahoma City, and I designed the gold megaphone trophy. And that was the beginning of that. We started doing that in 95, and that trophy still is one of the most recognizable awards in the world of cheerleading.
It might be the most recognizable.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that either. So, well, anyway, so when he started America's Best, I know that I was promoting cheer sport. He was promoting America's Best. And so I know in the early 2003, 4, 5, we would go to trade shows, and there was always a group of 20 of us that did every trade show together during the summers. And so we would be at every event. So I'm assuming that's when we really probably met or became friends or talked or were, jealous of each other's success of whatever y'all were doing. And so, so that's when I think we probably met, was during those early summers of doing shows in the early 2000s, is my guess.
Yeah, and our paths probably crossed in 94, 95 when you were bringing teams to NCAA All-Star.
Well, Kevin Brubaker, I'm going to one up you totally, because Kevin Jones and I, we go way back. Like, we are besties to like a few months ago when I interviewed him for the book. That was actually the first time that we met. And I was like, how have we like been in the industry together all these years and we've never met each other not one time? Pretty crazy.
How many total interviews were you, or are you up to? What's the
over 100 interviews we've done?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's shaping up to be about 130,000 words.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you think that when you started this?
No, it's been a monster. And I can tell you that I will definitely be taking a very long break from writing after this process is over, because it's been a lot. It's been great, and I can't wait for it to be out, but it's been a lot. Yeah. So, but I enjoyed Kevin's interview. It was awesome. So he's one of our pioneers. Again, like I said, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Well, if we have any entrepreneurs out there listening who were all-star cheerleaders or dancers, we would love to have you on our show. We are accepting submissions to be a guest on our podcast. So feel free to go to joinmotus.com. That's JOINMOTUS.com. And we would love to have you join us on our show. You can click the podcast tab and fill out the form and hop on the show. So Kevin Brubaker, and myself and Casey and Cole, we're still in the event business. So Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Cheer Expo?
Yeah, so we're in our third season this upcoming fall. And so we did 8 events last year in California and Kansas City and Charlotte, Atlanta. Nashville is our Nashville National, our World Bid event. Also in Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, and the Mid-Atlantic area, Philadelphia. And so this next year, we're adding 5 events for sure in Myrtle Beach, in New Orleans, Dallas, and Houston, in our friends Kevin's state. And we're going to Vegas, baby. So excited about that. But our website is www.thecheerexpo.com. You got to get the in there. Otherwise, you'll get our friends Cheer Expo in Canada. And that's not us. So, but thecheerexpo.com for all of our dates and all of our information. And we'd love to have you check out our event this upcoming season.
Awesome. So we always do an inspirational quote on the podcast. Our listeners know this. They're probably sick and tired of hearing me say it, but Kevin, I love Simon Sinek. I'm obsessed with him. I don't know if you're familiar with Simon, but we always do a Simon Sinek quote and then we talk about it. So today's quote is, if you say and do what you actually believe, then everyone will know what you actually believe. It's a handy little thing called integrity. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. I mean, I think that, not only in our world, but just in life in general, you like to be associated with and have relationships with people who have integrity. And, there's a lot to be said for someone's word and following up and doing what they're saying. I think we live in a world where, a lot of people put things on social media and things can be spun however you would like them. But, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I love it because I'm a worker and Kevin's a worker and I know Stacy's a worker. I know Cole's a worker. Casey doesn't seem to work as hard as us. But
poor guy, he's not even here to defend himself.
But I'm kidding. We're all workers, and I think that's what's made us successful. I know a lot of people in our cheer business and our industry are workers, and they have made themselves because they put forth the effort. And it's amazing today that people, especially younger people, don't understand the work ethic of what that looks like sometimes. So we have a couple of young people that work for us that are workers, and they're going to be successful, and they're helping us tremendously. But unfortunately, that's not the norm today. But
I agree. I mean, I think back through my career, and I'm like, mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? And I feel like, most of the time when I make a mistake, I'm like, okay, I made a mistake. How do I learn from that mistake? And I move on. But when I say I'm going to do something and I don't do something, which I think we can't avoid sometimes, like life, right? Or you promise this, and then when you get down to it, you're unable to deliver for whatever reason. And I remember, those moments, few and far between in my career, but so far, but those moments are always the ones that like I toss and turn over at night, and it really just hits my heart hard. Like, rather than, I'm trying to think of another mistake, I mean, this is a silly mistake, but everybody's done this out there, right? I need notebooks for a conference, and I go online and I buy a bunch of notebooks, and they come in and they're like this big instead of notebooks. They're like a 3x5 you can stick in your wallet as opposed to like an actual 8x11 notebook. That's a mistake. And I've made a lot of those much bigger than that too. But, signing a lease that, I shouldn't have, although that sits heavy on me, it's a mistake. But saying I was going to do X and not being able to deliver X, like those are the things that they just hit me. They just hit me so heavy. And some of those things I think still to this day, like they kind of have stuck with me because I don't like that. So I agree. I prefer to be a person of my word. Unfortunately, the reality is I feel like sometimes we have all good intentions, but something happens and we can't do what we said we were going to do. And that's the worst for sure. So
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Kevin Jones, not Kevin Brubaker. We're not thankful that you're here with us today. I'm just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. I'm actually super grateful that you're both here. Wonderful, amazing. Both of you are pioneers in our industry who did amazing things. So thank you so much for hopping on to our show. For those of you out there listening, be sure to follow us on YouTube at the MotUS Edge. And follow us on Instagram and X at Join MotUS. And wherever you listen to your podcasts, give us a like or a shout out. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, let us know. Thank you guys so much for listening today. And we are excited for you to have the MotUS Edge.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.